promised myself I wouldn't cry over this. Hey movie junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and most importantly, physical media with you. Except for today, because today is a sad day. Well, first of all, this has been a highly requested title for a number of years now. And while I'm happy that Paramount finally released Young Sherlock Holmes on Blu-ray, and we have a 1080p transfer, it's also a very disappointment in many areas. And I do have the previously released DVD, and I'm going to compare the two and do my screenshots and give my review. So let's get into it and really see what a mess this Blu-ray is. So yeah, after decades of requesting this title, Paramount finally put it out on Blu-ray in a 1080p transfer. Why bother? Why did they even bother? First off, the image has been reframed open to a 1:7:8:1 ratio instead of its theatrical presentation of 1:8:5:1 ratio that the DVD had, which is very confusing. Why? Why would you do this? Why would you purposely change the aspect ratio to 1:7:8 instead of keeping it 1:8:5? Why? Tell me why. And next, right away, the Paramount logo, you know you're in trouble. You can tell this is not a new transfer, or much attention was not given to this upscale 1080p image. It really looks like it was just poured over from the DVD, and badly. And the viewing experience just goes downhill from the title cards. And while the 1080p transfer does, I admit, give some increased warmer colors, it's also very inconsistent, where one scene will look fresh, bold, and has some pop to the colors, and the very next scene looks muted or dull. A good example of this is near the end of the film, where it looks fairly decent until the fire, where the fire looks completely blown out and duller when you compare it to the DVD. And that's just one example out of many. And it makes no sense. I mean, you would think that the DVD, which is NTSC and 720p, would look bad next to the Blu-ray. But really, the DVD kind of looks better than the Blu-ray. Now, another problem is with the brightness. It's likewise very inconsistent. Now, I was fairly happy when compared to the DVD with a slightly brighter image showing more detail. However, during the graveyard sequence, this is so weird. During the graveyard sequence, it does a complete 360 and it's a mess. The image is no longer bright and cheery. Instead, it's dreary and muted when compared to the DVD, where the desserts that come to life look bright and colorful. Instead, on the Blu-ray, they look very muted and not colorful at all. And again, this is just one example out of many. And this is just a very, very odd and very frustrating transfer. And then comes the dreaded Paramount DNR scrubbing that for some reason, Paramount just loves to torture us with, scrubbing the image with grain management. And this is just washed over with that, where faces and skin textures often look smeary across the screen, especially as characters move about. Skin and facial close-ups look very waxy, almost like a wax statue in a museum. And the DNR scrubbing doesn't just affect the skin textures, but also affects the backgrounds. They lose all detail levels to the point where heavy snow almost disappears in the far background during wide shots. This is just a hot mess, causing the image to appear very overly soft majority of the time. Details, finer details, and texturals are basically non-existent much of the time. Brick buildings, walls look very flat and no dimensionality to it, which is a real shame. You can tell Barry Levinson and his cinematographer wants to show off all the old London architecture, along with the crazy visuals that is throughout this film. But the image just really struggles with it, and it's just not there. I will say, however, The stained glass night did look the best out of all the visuals that I was pretty happy with. But then again, all the other visuals looked like a hot mess. It just looked awful. And then the black levels. Again, just like with everything else, is very inconsistent, where sometimes we have good deep blacks, and then other times, the very next scene, we have grayish blacks. But most of all, the image is played with crushing everywhere on the image, and very poor shadow detailing. In fact, during the darker sequences, and there are many of them, they are just a big murky mess. It looks awful. Also, whites almost look yellowish compared to the DVD, where the pipe and other costumes look actually white. The Blu-ray leans more towards a creamy or yellowish color, along with a lot of blooming issues. Honestly, there are some minimal, very minimal improvements in color and clarity, but again, it's very limited, and it looks like a very poorly done job ripping the DVD over the Blu-ray. That's how it honestly looked. It honestly reminded me of those bad Mill Creek Blu-rays that look worse than the DVD did sometimes, where it was obviously just ported over with no thought to it. I mean, I just don't understand this. Why Paramount didn't go back to the original camera negative or even the film elements and restore it to a new transfer. Even a 2K scan could have saved this hot mess, especially considering how long us fans of the film have been requesting this title on Blu-ray. For decades, really. So thanks to Paramount for giving us this heaping pile of crap. But hey, if you like to experience your movies with no picture, no image, but sound only, or if you're blind, then this is the Blu-ray for you. The Dolby True 5.1 track is an excellent upgrade to the Dolby Digital 5.1 mix that was on the Blu-ray. Now, wait. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Paramount refused to go back to give the film a new transfer, yet they went back to give the audio a new lossless mix transfer. Paramount, your priorities are all backwards. Sure, why the F not? Let's put all of our attention on the audio, but F the video. Who cares about that? People want audio, right? They don't care about the image quality. It makes no sense. That said, though, the new 5.1 track is a solid mix. The front is wide with good separation. Surrounds are used mostly for ambience, but it's the film's iconic score that gets the most attention here, with high range and fidelity that sounds fantastic. There's also a lot of heft and weight with the bass and low ends. Dialogue is clear and understandable throughout. So my score for Paramount's Blu-ray presentation of Young Sherlock Holmes, I'm giving the video a 1.5 out of a 5 and the audio a 4 out of a 5. As always, keep doing your part in keeping physical media alive, except for this one, and I'll see you next time.